Hello everyone, and welcome to another audio here on Real Over Religion. It is I, Johnny Lee, and we are back with another one. I was sitting here and I was thinking about that meme that you see here in the thumbnail. The dog sitting at the table with possibly a cup of coffee, and he is surrounded by fire in the home, and he says to himself, "This is fine." And it made me think about the way that human beings react to a negative situation, and you could walk away with two interpretations of this meme, and you see this play out in the real world. You either fall into one or two camps. But I want to give my thoughts on falling somewhere in the middle. One way that you can look at this meme is someone who is an optimist. Someone who is in the midst of a fire like that, but because they believe in a higher power, or they believe that everything happens for a reason, they say to themselves, "This is fine." Even though they are not being realistic about the real dangers of sitting in a house that's on fire. But they have convinced themselves that every bad thing that happens has a purpose or a reason behind it. So he says to himself, "This is fine." But then the other way that you can interpret it is on the opposite end, the pessimistic side, where this person has gone through so much hardship, so much suffering, so much trauma, that they have become so used to it that they no longer feel anything. Even though he is in imminent danger of being burned alive, he has given up all hope, and he simply says, "This is fine." He has accepted his fate, because he no longer cares whether he lives or dies. So I wanted to look at this and say, well, I've said on this channel before that I am not an optimist and I am not a pessimist, but I am a realist. And I think that in every situation in life, it is important that we are realistic about the what is. You know, I talk about on this channel how Christians are in denial of the reality. Those of the Abrahamic religions are in denial of the what is. But I'm not a pessimist in that I look at everything negative. I don't curl myself up into a ball and cry myself to sleep at night, not to shame or make fun of individuals who do go through that type of trauma. But what I'm trying to tell you is I've come to accept reality for what it is. Life is suffering, and death is mercy. I think the dog in this photo, he is in fact in imminent danger. And there is no right or wrong interpretation of this situation. It just depends on if there is a way out. The only way that this is fine is if he decides to get up and get out of that situation. But as long as you sit in a negative situation that is designed to destroy you, if you convince yourself that something outside of yourself is going to save you from it, or if you've given up on life completely and allow yourself to be consumed by it, these are the extreme outcomes that in both cases you will be destroyed. Because the optimist is not being realistic about their situation. They're trusting an outside source, the supernatural, to work their situation out. In reality, does not show us that that is possible or real. in our material world. The pessimist has simply just given up on life. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's going to be consumed by the fire around him. So what am I trying to say here? What I'm saying is that you have to find out in your own individual life whether there is any good to withdraw from it. And that's going to vary from each individual. If you live in a place where human autonomy is respected, you have the opportunity to live and work and build a business and pursue life and love and liberty, then maybe you can find some good in a negative if you continue to keep going. But if you are the pessimist who has suffered so much and you're in a situation that is going to consume you and there is no way out, then the only way is to accept your fate. But one thing is for certain, as far as we know, this present life has no meaning. Even when you give meaning to your life, it only is for the here and now. We will die in another 100 years from now. Our way of life, our thinking, and the way that we thought will pass on, will go on and be documented in the past of history and time. But it is behind us. And the next generation will go on believing and thinking the way that they choose to, according to their reality. But I thought it was an interesting meme. And it just depends on what side you want to be on, but I believe the most realistic one is simply accepting what is. And that's going to look different for each and every one of us in our individual lives. And that is why I am on the side of mitigating suffering, reducing attachments and killing desire, getting rid of things that can contribute to your suffering in this life, because life is suffering. It took your mother to go through pain just to bring you here into the world. Life is suffering. This existence that we live in, it can consume us if we allow it to. And it all depends on if you have given up or if you believe in something working out your situation outside of yourself. But the reality says that only we can do something. The optimist and the pessimist, it's only up to them if they can get out of that burning house. You have to do something. And if there is no hope, then you must accept your fate. But lying to ourselves, because both the optimist and the pessimist lied to themselves. If we interpret this meme one or two ways, they're lying to themselves by saying this is fine. The house is burning. This is not fine. But it says that it all depends on our perspective and how we choose to look at things. But you must look at it as realistic as possible. This is not fine. I need to figure out if there is a way out of this situation, or either I must succumb to what's happening because there is no way out. It's only fine when you can get out of that situation. And I think ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, that is what a majority of the population has done, is they have lied to themselves about their conditions. We all have done it. We've lied to ourselves saying that we're okay when we're not. We've lied to ourselves saying that we're happy when we're not. And what you must learn to do, if you're going to do this thing called life and you're not going to self-delete yourself, you must learn to be realistic with everything and accept the what is. And the sooner that you accept reality for what it is, that can reduce your suffering because it kills the expectation. I'm not expecting anything to work itself out. It's up to me to work it out. And there's also a possibility that I can't work it out. I could succumb to the danger or the imminent danger that I'm in. So as I always say on this channel, I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. So I hope that my thoughts here can help someone out a little bit. It's just something I was thinking about when that meme came to my mind, and I realized how we usually end up fitting into one or two camps, the optimist or the pessimist. But I think the best way to navigate this is to be as realistic with ourselves and our situations as possible. And if there is any way to escape them, by all means. But let us not lie to ourselves and convince ourselves that it's fine when it's really not. Until next time, everyone, remember that life is suffering, but death is mercy. And if they have to speak for God, they've already lost the debate. Until next time.